Welcome back. It's the Comics Report, the comic book review. Today, it's going to be the Power Fantasy number 5. Now, this is out from Image Comics. It's written by Kieron Gillen with art by Caspar Wijngaard. Now, the Power Fantasy, if you've not read it before, it delves into a world where a select group of superpowered individuals, known as atomics, hold the fate of the world in their hands. Now, a nuclear war was rising, and these superpowered individuals, they decide to step in and try and put the world on a better path. And this story is basically the consequences of that power and their beliefs. It's very, very interesting. And again, I think it draws some comparisons to the modern day world. Anyway, this issue begins with Jackie Magus. Now, he's previously been shrouded in this Daft Punk style helmet, but he's now revealed as a roguish Londoner with a disdain for American culture. He leads a cult known as the Pyramid. This is back in the 1970s, and it's structured as a literal pyramid scheme, with hierarchical levels ranging from initiates to the total arsehole at the top. And he is the self-admitted total arsehole. So, through flashbacks to Brixton, we witness Jackie's early days as an anarchist punk, and it highlights his initial desire to save the world. Now, these scenes are rendered in a grungy, punk scene-inspired style, and they sharply contrast his current status and emphasise his ideological shift over time and his transformation from rebellious idealist to an absolute manipulative cult leader. It's a standard issue. So this is a current style art. This is set back in the 1999, where we jump forward a little bit and we find out that, he's not just this megalomaniac. He does have a softer side. He is insecure just like anyone else. But back to the 70s. So what happens? So basically, from the 70s to now, Jackie's cult has been operating this massive pyramidical superweapon, right? It symbolises his complete departure from his anarchist principles to this, I guess a capitalist, right? He's exploiting capitalism. His followers have been indoctrinated into the cult's hierarchy, reflecting the manipulative nature of multi-level marketing schemes. So he's got all these guys, and they are trapped. Now, he was once driven by altruistic goals, but his disillusionment has led him down a path of self-preservation, right, and ethical compromise. And this transformation is captured through his interactions with fellow atomics and his shifting ideological stance over the decades. And this has created friction within this group, and it sets the stage for future conflicts. I also notice here that Gillen's his writing is trying to critique the commodification of countercultural movements too. So none of this goes miss. It's really, really well thought out. So back to the issue. So from the 70s to the 80s, they're chatting to a general. I'm not going to go into too many specifics, but they decide that what the president and this general are proposing or potentially going to agree to could cause the world more harm. So with like a few words telepathic to each other, they decide just to obliterate him, and he becomes this just big ball of blood and flesh. He kicks him off the top of his sort of floating, not spaceship, but this floating base and house that he has. It's brutal. I love it. It's absolutely brutal. Again, we go through more of those flashbacks I told you about, that you find out more about where he came from and where he is. And we get this strange scene, which I'm not quite sure what happened here. I think you're not supposed to know, but in the late 80s, according to this 2 hours after the second summer of love, we find out everything is falling apart and there's death and destruction, and his cult is over, and about 250,000 people have died, and he had to kill them. I think this basically says that something went wrong with this character called the Queen, and he had to clean up the mess. So he had to destroy his whole cult. And this is where he's finally breaks down, finally realizes that, he's got to look after himself, and his ideals he had before are falling apart. It's quite dark. I'd love to know what this part means. And if I've missed something, let me know in the comments. But it's dark. Anyway, we're back to present day. And he decides that it's just time to look after himself. And he decides to pay the current president in the White House a visit and say, basically, next election, I'm going to become the total arsehole. I want to be president of the United States. And he says he's overqualified. Now, it is really, really interesting. Each issue at the moment is focusing on one of these atomics. And this one just jumps out because he's fun and he's dangerous, And I think him becoming president could have so many repercussions for the rest of the atomics. He's really trying to piss them off, Art-wise, absolutely beautiful as usual from Caspar Wijngaard. I can't fault it. It's so much fun. It's dark. It's got everything. So, at the end of the day, if you're looking for a sort of fresh take on superpowers narratives, which balanced, stunning visuals and deep character exploration, because this really does go deep into these characters. This book is for you. I said that really slowly because I wanted you to hear it. So it's absolutely brilliant. Give it a whirl. Let me know what you think, and I hopefully will catch you in the next one.